The New Orleans Saints have finalized their 53-man roster as well as their practice squad roster, and for the most part, it's really what we expected, but there were a few surprises, so let's talk about it. All right, so starting off with the offensive line, centers and guards. Eric McCoy, of course, top 5 center in the league. And then they got Cesar Ruiz, also listed as a center, but we all know he's our starting right guard. So no surprises there, obviously. Go down to cornerback, Paulson Adebo. It does seem that he won that outside job against Alontae Taylor, since Alontae Taylor is obviously going to be starting in the slot next year with us getting rid of Bradley Roby. Next up, we have Lonnie Johnson Jr., who I was pretty excited about when the Saints signed. I think he's a really solid depth player in the secondary. He also had a nice couple plays he made in the preseason to really solidify his spot on the 53. And again, the GOAT, Marshawn Lattimore, no surprises. Alontae Taylor, we just talked about how he's going to be taking over for that slot position, and I do expect him to struggle a little bit at first. But, the more repetition he gets, I think we'll start to see what a great young player he is, just like we were starting to see last year. Next up, we have Isaac Yiadom. I'm not really sure how to say his name. I apologize. But again, he made some plays in the preseason that really solidified his spot on the roster, and he also made some plays in training camp, according to a lot of reports. JT Gray, obviously phenomenal special teams player. No surprise there. Jordan Howden, draft pick this year. Good to see our draft picks actually making the team. We went a couple years there where, it was a little ugly. But good to see him making the team. He's looked really nice in camp as well. Isaiah Foskey, our second-round pick, defensive end. Look, he hasn't looked the best in preseason. He really just needs to take a year or two to build his strength up. But for now, obviously he's a second-round pick. He's going to be on the team. I think he can develop into a nice, solid player. So we'll see on that front. Carl Granderson, who's probably going to start opposite of Cam Jordan. Obviously, he made the team. Then the GOAT, Cam Jordan. Tano Passanel. Good solid player, good depth on the defensive line there. Peyton Turner, the man we need to see take that next step. 6'6", 270. My God, how can you not be a good football player? Malcolm Roach, another young guy that has looked really good in camp, really good in the preseason, and has shown flashes, throughout his young career so far. Really excited to see what he does this year. I think he can be a big part of this defense. Again, first-round pick Brian Bresee. Let's see, Kalen Saunders signing over from Kansas City this year, the 324-pounder. Dude looks like a bowling ball out there on the field. He's going to be a big part of our defense this year, trying to stop that run, something we didn't do that well last year. Nathan Shepard as well came over from the Jets. Adam Prentice, the fullback. Good to see we're still playing fullback football. Max Garcia, he's going to be the backup guard, backup center. Then we got the man Andrews Pete, everybody's favorite guard. They got him listed as guard/tackle. I'm really curious to see what will happen between him and James Hurst. I think that job is still up for grabs, so, we'll see. It'll probably be Pete with the starters, but I wouldn't be surprised if, James Hurst takes over, whether that be through injury or, play. And then the rookie, Blake Groupie. He beat out Will Lutz in camp. Darren Rizzi, special teams coordinator, said, look, this had nothing to do with Will Lutz's contract or how much he costs. He flat out beat him out in camp. So now Will Lutz is a Bronco, which I called in a couple videos back. Looking forward to see how he plays. The confidence is there, so he just has to perform in actual games now. Zach Bond, a player that a lot of Saints fans like to cut for some reason, but again, he's solid linebacker depth. I still feel like he's best as a pass rusher, what he did in college best, but I'm not the coaches, but he's on the squad. Demario Davis, obviously. DeMarco Jackson, good to see him on the field. Missed all last year. Draft pick from last year. So he's there. Sewell, the linebacker. I'm a big fan of this guy. This dude has a relentless motor if you watch the tape. Big fan. I'm so glad he made the team. Brother of Penei Sewell on the Lions. So, yeah, football just runs in that family, I guess. But I think this guy might end up eventually playing some important football for the Saints. I really do. Pete Werner, looking forward to him playing this year, taking that next step. He was awesome last year, got hurt, but he came back and was still really good. So Pete Werner, Zach Wood, the best long snapper in the league. James Hurst, talked about him earlier. I think he'll end up starting a left guard sometime this year. May even have to slide into, one of the tackle spots if somebody gets hurt. But it's good to have a guy like him, that can play any position on the line. Nick Saldivari, another draft pick from this year, making the squad. Had an up and down preseason, but he needs time to develop. That's no surprise there. Trevor Penning, hopefully he can stay healthy. Missed most of last year, got hurt again. We really need him to stay healthy. He's a mauler in the run game. He needs to continue to get better in the pass game, and he will. Lou Hedley, the new punter, the 30-year-old rookie, beat out Blake Gillikin. I mean, what can you say? He won the job straight out. This one surprised me more than the Will Lutz one, to be honest with you. But you know what? The Rock's a fan of him, so I'm a fan of him. Then we come to the quarterbacks here. Derek Carr, obviously. Then we have the young gun, Jake Hayner. Then Jameis Winston is going to be the backup, of course. Move on to the running backs, Kendre Miller. Now, I know a lot of people were kind of, wary because Miller didn't look the greatest in the preseason. His yards per carry was really low. But dude, I mean, if you watch like his snaps, 80% of the snaps he took in the preseason, there's a defender in his face before he even gets the ball. Like, it was actually ridiculous. Jamal Williams, fan favorite already. Look at that picture. Ugo Amadi, again, depth at the safety position, looked good in the preseason. Honey Badger there, Marcus May are starting safeties. Ryan Ramczyk, hopefully he's good to go and healthy this year, because when he is, he's obviously a top 5 right tackle in the league. Landon Young, he's hurt right now, I believe, but he's going to be some depth on that offensive line. Jimmy Graham made the squad, and I seen some articles posted like, Jimmy Graham made the 53. I'm like, was this not a given when he was signed? Like, I think just they're not going to bring him in, a 36, 37-year-old tight end who's a legend for this organization just for camp, just to cut him. Like, this was a no-brainer to me. Taysom Hill, Jawan Johnson, obviously. Foster Moreau, the new pick of a tight end. That is a crazy good tight end room right there, them 4 guys. Keith Kirkwood, wide receiver. Kirk Merritt, wide receiver. We got Olave, A.T. Perry made the squad. Tre'Quan Smith. I know everybody, as another guy, Tre'Quan Smith, everybody wants to get rid of him. You're just, I don't mind Tre'Quan Smith. I really don't. I mean, he's a good wide receiver 4. He's a solid wide receiver 4, and he's very good at blocking and understanding the angles of the run game when it comes to blocking for a wide receiver. So until the Saints get a wide receiver, 4 that can block as good as he does, I mean, he's going to be on the roster. I think his health is obviously the biggest question to me. Like, that would be the reason I would get rid of him, not his actual play on the field. And all right, next, Michael Thomas. Goes without saying, say a prayer for Michael Thomas and his health this year, dude. I if anything, I just want this guy to have 1 or 2 more healthy seasons. He deserves it. He's worked hard. He's worked his way back. It was absolutely ridiculous that a lot of the fans thought he was choosing not to play and that he quit on the team. I mean, that was just brain dead for people to think that he was actively choosing to, not play. This guy was on a Hall of Fame path, got hurt, came back to help Drew Brees win in the playoffs to win another ring, got hurt again. I mean, come on, man. The guy obviously wants to be out there. Watch him on the field when he's playing. How passionate he is. Go back to Week 1 against the Falcons when he scored those touchdowns against AJ Terrell. Look at the passion he had right there, and tell me that's a guy that don't want to be on the field. Anyway, then last but not least, Rashid Shaheed, wide receiver 3. I'm expecting big things out of him. This is our explosive play guy. I think a lot of people think of Chris Olave as that, and he is. But Rashid Shaheed is going to be the guy that's just bombs away, and also they could take those in around and stuff for pretty long gains. Then we come to the practice squad. We signed Jonathan Abram to the practice squad, safety. I like that. He's not very good per se, but he's young and he's good depth to have in case he needs to call up. Lynn Bowden had some flashes in the preseason, so it's good to see we got to stash him away. Ryan Connolly, Shaquan Davis, Shaq Davis. This is the guy that, everybody was kind of upset when he didn't make the 53, but it's good to see nobody claimed him, and we were able to stash him on our practice squad because he might end up, getting some playing time this year. Mark Evans, this guy right here, 95, Jack Heflin, I'm not sure how you say it, but he also looked good in the preseason coming over from the XFL. Anthony Johnson, John Trey Kirkland, Tommy Kramer, Nico Lalos. This is another guy that, everybody was kind of upset when he didn't make the 53 because he, looked good in the preseason. But a lot of that 3-sack game he had was more so coverage sacks. But again, he's good depth, good motor. Another player coming over from the XFL, I believe. Ellis Merriweather, also another guy that looked good in the preseason. He's the guy that says he used to watch Alvin Kamara highlights in middle school and high school, which is kind of weird to think about. Now he's teammates with the guy. He looked good in the preseason. He was our best back. Storm Norton, I thought he looked like the best backup offensive lineman during the preseason. So I'm glad we got him back. 58 right here, Anthony, or however you say that, stashed him on the practice squad. Kyle Phillips, defensive end, another good depth player right there. Then Jalen Smith, another guy people were kind of shocked that didn't make the initial 53. He'll end up playing important football for the Saints as well. And then we got Ty Summers there. So yeah, overall, no really big surprises. I myself did think Shaq Davis would make that initial 53, but I'm glad we got him, stashed on that practice squad there. Obviously, the biggest surprise was the special teams players, right? Lou Hedley, 30-year-old rookie, beating out Blake Gillikin, and then the groupie for Lutz swap, and then Lutz going over to Denver. So that was really the only surprise for me. I think the Saints are locked and loaded for a good season ahead. I'm excited. We're a little over a week away from the opener against the Titans. So yeah, man, I appreciate you guys watching as always. Till next time, peace.